Hi guys, I'm Andy. Welcome back to Backpacking UK, the YouTube channel that's all about hiking, backpacking and wild camping. Today, be reviewing the awesome Hilleberg Niak tent. This is a two-person backpacking tent. It's part of their yellow label range, which means it's more suited to three-season use. However, the 20D ripstop nylon fabric it uses is seriously strong, and the fabric's also substantially waterproof too. So don't think this is just a fair weather tent. You can still use this tent in adverse conditions too. So this is a two-person backpacking tent. However, most people use it for solo use or taking their dog or son, daughter with them. As a two-person backpacking tent, there are, without a shadow of a doubt, better tents out there. However, for solo use, it's an absolute cracker. So in this form, this measures 46 centimeters by 14 centimeters and weighs 1.8 kilograms all in. There is an optional footprint too, which clips in, so you can just leave it in there as well. So what I'm going to do today, just going to show you what you get inside this tent bag, then I'm going to get the tent pitched, and then we're going to talk about all the features inside and out, and I'll give you my final summary at the end. So this is what you get inside the Hilleberg Niak tent bag. So it pitches inner and outer together. It uses these lovely DAC poles. I absolutely love these. They're really strong, they're really light, and they're exceptionally well made. So it's just two poles to this tent. You get 10 of these Y pegs, which are ultralight Hilleberg pegs. They're actually really good. So let's get this Hilleberg Niak tent pitched. So what I've done, just quickly, I've just put the 9mm DAC poles together. When you put them together, try not to snap them together too much. Look after the tent poles and also make sure there's no gaps. As you can see, there is a bend to this pole at both ends. So just make sure it's set up properly before you start pitching the tent. Right, so just going to start pitching this tent. So the door and vestibule's on one side, so just be mindful of that. Make sure you get that the right side, but I'm just going to put 2 pegs in it to start off with. This is how I pitch the tent, and then I'm going to put the poles through. Right, so I'm just going to start threading the poles through. So these 2 poles are exactly the same length, so there's nothing to worry about here. There's nothing you can really do wrong. All you've got to remember is the poles are threaded from one side of the tent. Material's really nice and thick, which minimises the chance of damage of this tent. Just make sure that the pole end is deeply seated at the other end. So literally within a couple of minutes I've pitched the tent. Now I'm just going to peg it out properly. So here's the Hilleberg Niak tent pitched. It flies up, it's so fast, and it's really easy to guy out too. It's got to be one of the easiest tents to pitch out there. It's just superb. So let's take a look around the Hilleberg Niak. So the doors can be opened up left side or right side. The best side is to open it up with the right door, because the storm flap goes over the zip on that side, so it's easier to open this first. There's nothing to stop you switching the pegs round and opening up the other door first. It's also got another guy out point in the middle as well. This sand colour is absolutely fantastic. So it guys out on each corner of the poles. You can also really tie this fly down to make it extra taut. The pole sleeves are really nice and thick. Like I say, this is only a 20D nylon fabric, but it's really strong. You've just got one pegging point on the other side, but it's just that classic crisscross dome tent. You know, it's sort of freestanding. You only need one peg for the vestibule, but it's quite a small footprint really, easy to move around to get that perfect pitch. So let's take a look inside the Hilleberg Niak. So you've got, as you would expect from Hilleberg, really heavy duty fixings, heavy duty zip. It's just a really well made tent, even though it's their yellow label tent model. It's still a superbly made tent without a shadow of a doubt. The one thing I will say with yellow label tents is the fabric's a lot more compressible. So even though the pack size is 46 centimetres by 14 centimetres, if you took the poles out and put the actual tent in a dry bag, you could make this a really, really small package. So the first thing you'll notice is the door. Now this is all see-through mesh. There's no option for a solid mesh door. Personally, I know this is a 3-season tent, but personally, I think they missed a trick here. They could have quite easily had a zippable solid mesh door the other side of this just to keep the drafts out. But it is supposed to be a 3-season tent, and this door offers a substantial amount of ventilation. So what you've got here is a vestibule area of 65 centimetres. However, I've got to say, it doesn't feel like that because there's quite a slope on that door because it comes from the middle. So even though it's a 65 centimetre vestibule, it is quite small, especially for 2 people. Right, so let's have a look inside. So you've got an enormous door on this tent, double zips. Even though it's see-through mesh, it's actually really quite strong. So let's have a little look inside the Hilleberg Niak. So you've got one pocket there, you've got little tabs for like a washing line or to put your lantern, and you've got another 2 pockets on this side too. But as you can see, it's got a really nice high bathtub floor. Lots of space inside this tent. So the dimensions of the Hilleberg Niak, 220 centimetres long, 120 centimetres wide by 100 centimetres high. Now I'm 5'8", 172 centimetres with quite a long back and a hat on, and there's still probably 5 centimetres above my head. It's a really nice space to be in. There's no doubt about that. Apart from the mesh on the door, everything else is solid mesh. So if you pitch this tent correctly, even in colder conditions, you shouldn't feel a chilly draft coming through this tent. But it is just such a nice space for one person. It's just fantastic. You can have your sleeping pad towards the back, belongings, you've got a place to sit, you've got a place to cook. It's just really nice for one person. For 2 person, it's just too much of a squeeze for me, I think. And there are better 2-person tents out there. For 2 people, I think they would get annoyed with trying to store some of the gear in the vestibule, which isn't very big, and just having that one door to use really. So it's a 2-person tent. I don't think so. But what do I really think about the Hilleberg Niak? Now, for me, it's exceptionally well made without a shadow of a doubt. The things that I don't like is I just wish you could put a solid inner on this door. I think that's quite a big feature that's missing. Also, this vestibule does not feel like 65 centimetres at all because it comes up right to the middle of the tent. So it's quite a really shallow vestibule, which is a bit of a disappointment. Now, for 2024, this tent retails at £970 plus £80 for the footprint. So it's a substantial amount of money. Personally, for a 3-season tent, I think that is way, way, way too much money. I just can't see really any value for money in that. I'm a massive Hilleberg fan. I think their 4-season tents are absolutely superb, and for me, they're the better value for money tents. This, unfortunately, not so much. However, do I like this tent? I definitely do. It's a very simple, quite basic tent that is made exceptionally well. In windy conditions, I'll be happy taking this out. In rainy conditions, I'll be happy taking this out too, unless the rain was coming from the top, in which it's going to come straight down into my vestibule. So I would have to have the door zipped up further down, but again, you've just got less and less vestibule space. But anyway, hope you like this video. Please check out my other videos. Hope to see you camping soon. Cheers.